My story tells of the very beginning of the world. In the beginning, the whole world was covered by the Ocean of Forgetfulness. So the goddess Ururu took the stone ones and made them into a wall. And inside the wall, she planted a garden. And within the garden lived the first men and women. In those days, there was no death. There was no trouble of any kind. They lived there happily in the garden, but being so happy made them discontented. They wanted to know what the goddess Ururu did in her home above the blue sky. So one day, when the tide was out, they took the stone ones and built them into a high tower, and they climbed up the tower until they went right through the blue sky and up into heaven. And there they saw the goddess Ururu dancing her beautiful dance. They stared at her in amazement. But then they began to argue with each other, for some said that she was dancing to make the sun and the moon and the stars go round. But others said no, the sun and the moon and the stars were already going round, and she was dancing to celebrate them. And while they were arguing, the tide came back in, and the Ocean of Forgetfulness knocked over the tower, and all the stone ones tumbled down. And the people tumbled down too, and fell into the Ocean of Forgetfulness, and forgot their names, and died. But the stone ones, who are very buoyant, of course, bobbed up to the top and floated away. But the only people who didn't climb up the tower that day were a little baby boy and a little baby girl who had just been born, and Uta-Napishti and Urshanabin, who were looking after them. They were all in a little hut, and when the flood came, it knocked the hut over and turned it upside down, and it floated. It was the first boat. And after the flood was gone, the boy and girl grew up and started the human race all over again. But ever since that day, men and women no longer live forever. Instead, they live for a short time and then die, and the Ocean of Forgetfulness takes away their names. And some people say they can never remember anything after that, but other people say they can only remember one thing, which they never could remember while they were alive, and that thing is the goddess Ururu's dance.